The most intelligent person in the room is often the most anxious. Not because something is wrong with them, but because the same mind that can see 10 steps ahead can also see 10 ways everything could go wrong. Intelligence and anxiety are not opposites. They are not separate experiences that happen to arrive together by coincidence. In most cases, they are the same gift, running in two different directions simultaneously. One direction builds, one direction worries about what it built. And the tragedy is that most highly intelligent people have spent their entire lives believing the anxiety was a flaw, when it was always just the other side of the very thing that made them exceptional. Here is what no one tells you about having a fast mind. It never stops. While other people move through their day without examining every interaction, the intelligent mind is running a constant background process, analyzing, predicting, preparing, even when there is nothing that needs to be analyzed, predicted, or prepared for. It replays conversations, looking for what could have gone better. It anticipates problems that have not arrived yet. It constructs detailed mental simulations of every possible outcome of every decision, major and minor. What if I said the wrong thing? What if this goes badly? What if I am not as prepared as I think I am? What if the good thing that is happening right now is about to fall apart? This is not a disorder. This is a mind doing exactly what it was built to do. The problem is that a mind built for pattern recognition and threat detection cannot easily distinguish between a genuine threat and an imagined one. It treats both with equal urgency, equal physiological activation, equal cost to the nervous system. The heart rate rises, the chest tightens, the jaw clenches. For a real threat and an imagined one, the body's response is nearly identical. And because the intelligent mind generates imagined threats at a significantly higher rate than the average mind, it is also generating that physiological response at a significantly higher rate. The intelligent mind is never truly at rest, because rest feels like a risk it cannot afford to take, because something might happen while it is not looking. And the intelligent mind has spent its whole life believing that if it just stays alert enough, thinks far enough ahead, prepares thoroughly enough, nothing will catch it off guard. The anxiety is not irrational. It is the price of a mind that refuses to be surprised. Here is how this shows up in daily life. The highly intelligent anxious person tends to overthink every decision, not because they are indecisive, but because they can see the full complexity of every possible outcome and feel genuinely responsible for choosing correctly between them. When someone says you did well, the intelligent mind immediately locates every flaw in the work, every way it could have been better, every reason the compliment might be generous rather than accurate. Praise does not land. It bounces off a surface that was built to be critical, not receptive. They are exhausted by social interactions, not because they dislike people, but because they are running a full analytical process on every word, every expression, every shift in tone, every silence. What did that pause mean? Why did they look away when they said that? Did I say something wrong without realizing it? They suffer from imposter syndrome at a significantly higher rate than average. The more they know, the more acutely aware they are of how much they still do not know. Competence and self-doubt grow at exactly the same rate. Every new level of expertise reveals a new level of complexity they had not previously seen. And perhaps most painfully, they cannot turn it off. There is no switch. There is no moment where the mind simply agrees to be quiet. Other people seem to have that ability. The ability to put things down, to leave work at work, to stop thinking about a problem when there is nothing more that thinking can do. The intelligent, anxious person watches this with something close to awe and something close to grief. The mind that gives them their greatest ability is also the mind that will not let them sleep. This anxiety does not only live in the mind, it lives in the body. The highly intelligent, anxious person often carries a chronic physical tension they have learned to ignore, a baseline tightness in the chest that is simply always there, a jaw that is almost always slightly more clenched than it needs to be, a nervous system running just above its optimal level at all times. They have often lived this way for so long that they no longer recognize it as anxiety. They call it being driven. They call it having high standards. They call it caring deeply about things. And all of those things are true. But underneath them is a body that has never fully learned that it is safe to rest. That putting something down does not mean losing it. That closing their eyes does not mean something will go wrong in the dark. Peter Levine, whose work on trauma and the nervous system transformed how we understand the relationship between mind and body, observed that the nervous system stores what the conscious mind cannot fully process. For the highly intelligent person, who processes everything consciously, who analyzes and examines and deconstructs, the body becomes the repository for what the mind is too busy to feel. The exhaustion that cannot be explained by any specific event. The grief that arrives without a clear source. The fear that lives underneath the analysis, older than any of the ideas the mind has constructed to manage it. The body keeps the score, even when the mind is winning every argument. And until the body is included in the work of understanding, the score remains. Where does this come from? For many highly intelligent people, the anxiety did not arrive in adulthood. It began very early. Intelligence in childhood is not always a gift that is celebrated in the way we imagine it should be. Sometimes it is a burden the child is expected to carry alone. Sometimes it makes them different in ways that are not welcome. Too questioning, too perceptive, too aware of things the adults around them would prefer to leave unexamined. The child who could read the room, who knew before anyone said a word that something was wrong, had to carry that knowledge without the emotional vocabulary to process what they were sensing. They knew, but they could not speak it. They felt, but they could not name it. And so they did what intelligent children do. They analyzed it. They tried to understand it. They tried to find the pattern that would make it predictable and therefore manageable. The intelligence became a coping mechanism before it became an identity. And for many of them, the anxiety began here, in the gap between what they could perceive and what they were allowed to say. There is another root worth naming. The child whose intelligence was their primary source of approval, whose parents lit up when they performed, whose teachers praised their ability, whose identity became built around being the smart one, learned something precise and lasting, that their worth was conditional on their performance, that love came with a standard attached, that being smart was not enough. They had to be the smartest, the most prepared, the most competent, the most certain, even when they were not certain at all. And so the mind that was their greatest gift became also their most demanding taskmaster, always measuring the last performance against a standard that kept rising, always asking, quietly, relentlessly, is this enough yet? For many of them, across decades of achievement and recognition and competence, the answer has never been yes. And the anxiety is not irrational. It is the sound of a mind still trying to earn something that should have been given freely, unconditionally. What does integration look like for the highly intelligent, anxious person? It does not look like thinking less. The mind is what it is. It will not become simpler. It will not slow down by force of will, and it should not. The intelligence is not the problem. Integration looks like learning to be in the body at the same time as the mind is doing what it does. To notice the tightness in the chest without immediately turning it into a problem to be solved analytically. To sit with uncertainty without immediately needing to resolve it into certainty. To receive praise without immediately dismantling it with the same precision that built the work in the first place. To rest, actually rest, without the background process running, without the feeling that something is being left unguarded. The work is not to quiet the mind. The work is to build a nervous system that is no longer operating on the assumption that danger is always exactly one mistake away. That rest is a vulnerability. That good enough is never quite enough. This is slow work. It is not achieved by understanding it, although understanding is where it begins. It is achieved in the body, in the repeated experience of resting and nothing going wrong, of being seen and not being found lacking, of making a mistake and the world remaining intact. Jung believed that the most gifted people carried the heaviest shadows, because the greater the light, the deeper the darkness it casts beside it. The intelligence is not the wound. The belief that it must be used constantly and perfectly in order to earn safety, that is the wound. And like all wounds, it does not need to be eliminated. It needs to be understood, held with the same intelligence that has held everything else, but this time, turn gently and with genuine compassion toward yourself. A reading list on intelligence, anxiety, the nervous system, and the work of integration is in the description below.